What about the Moroccan Devil, Youssef Zalal, who is now 3-0 since returning to the UFC? A fantastic win against Jack Shore. He is on some kind of roll. He's an incredible personality. Our first time talking to him. Let us say hello to the aforementioned Youssef Zalal. There he is. Hello, Youssef. How are you? Thank you so much for joining
What's
us.
up, my man? How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
All right, you can't. You know how long I've been waiting for this. This is how long I've been waiting for this. I was like, I know I'm doing something good when this comes up.
Yes, you are, my man. You're on fire, and it's great to have you. Congratulations on all the success. And your story is fascinating because you were in the UFC, then you parted ways, then you won a whole bunch of fights in a row, and then you came back. I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong. Is this working out better than you thought, or did you know upon returning that you'd be a force to be reckoned with?
Oh man, it was definitely working out better to be because I was supposed to be in the Ultimate Fighter, so
Oh,
I thought I was gonna go a completely different direction. You know what I mean? And the whole Ultimate Fighter was more of like, hey, they're gonna know more about your personality and like really, it's a good thing for you. We couldn't find nobody in the regional scene to fight us, so that was kind of like the thing. So like I was like, all right, but and then the Ultimate Fighter did not go through. They were like, hey, you're an alternate, and the Billy Q happened, and then the rest is history. So I knew I was gonna be on a tear, obviously, but I still got a lot of work to do, man. A lot of work to do.
was that a blessing for you to not have to go to the house 6 weeks away from the world, go through that ringer, and then just go straight into the UFC against Billy Q?
Oh man, 100%. Like I was prepared for it. I was ready for it. 100%. Like I said bye to my family. I said bye to my team. I said bye to everybody. But to not do that and really just go train for 2 weeks and then go fight and then really just live the moment. That's a blessing. 100%.
So, if we would have talked back in August of 2022 when you parted ways with UFC after the Damone Blackshear fight, where were you at in your career? Did you think, all right, all good, this is a setback, I'll be back? You know, at that point, as discussed over the weekend, you fought Ilia Topuria. You had a couple losses after that one as well. You get the draw. So, like, what are you thinking? Because it's not often that the UFC comes back to you, right? Sometimes they part ways with you and they say goodbye forever. So, what were you thinking? How would this play out?
To be honest, I was thinking about done fighting. I really was. The fighting was not in my mind. You know, it like kind of like really affected my personal life big time. You know what I mean? You're like, well, man, they had all these hopes about you, this all dreams about you. They're like, you're the next thing, you're this, you're that, and to really get kicked out of the UFC, and now you're not really making any money. Now you're just looking at yourself and be like, okay, I gotta go keep teaching and just kind of keep moving. And I had a really good team behind me. I feel like that's kind of like helped me a lot and good mentors behind me as well. So that kind of kept me in a direction. The biggest thing, the hardest part was when we went and win five in a row, and then to get told in front of my face with the matchmaker that like, hey, you came in hot, you finishing everybody, you couldn't finish nobody in the UFC. I have to give the contender guys their opportunity before you and stuff like that. So it was kind of like a heartbroken. I'm like, am I even gonna ever be in the UFC? Is that even gonna be another option? You know what I mean? So that was kind of like the whole thing. But I had, like I said, the people, the managers, and anything that's kept me like really focused on the main goal. They knew what I was capable of, and I believed it, and here we are.
Still, you're in your mid 20s at this point, and I screwed up. I said draw. It was a majority decision the last fight, but you win your first three, and then the next four go like that. So, what do you think you're going to do in your life? Like when you're thinking, I might be done. You're in your mid 20s. You're such a young guy. What do you even, for a brief moment, what are you even considering?
God, for that moment, I really didn't like consider a lot of things. Like I feel like I grew up in Morocco, so my culture was, no matter what, you make it work. That no matter what it is, you're gonna make it work. Is that living pay check to check or whatever the case is? That was my mentality, no matter what. So I was gonna go work my butt off and then get it done. You know what I mean? So that was the whole thing in my mind anyway. But was it the thing that I loved? Not really. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like the hard decision was like, okay, like if we're gonna do the fighting, we have to change a lot of things, and I have to look into myself first. So that was where my thought was at, like just coaching, and I was driving Uber too. So that was my thing. I love driving, so I was kind of just driving Uber. So that was me for at least 2 months, to be honest, like just in a bad spot, just like a depressed spot and like dark spot. Like really, I had to go teach, train, and then just drive Uber. That's it. That's all I was doing.
Damn, was that humbling?
Oh, it's super humbling, man. That's why I love. take everything for granted now. You know what I mean? Especially when I go back home as well, man. It's like you get to see, like, man, you drive a nice car. People can't even afford a car down there, and then you get to live in a nice apartment and stuff like that. So I had bunch of humble things come my way, to be honest. Too. It was coming nonstop. So it really made me look at life completely different and appreciate things a lot more.
You talked about this on Saturday about like doing things for yourself as opposed to doing things for the media or doing things how you kind of think people how they want to hear you or listen to you or perceive you. How did that shift happen? Who opened your eyes to being, for lack of a better word, more selfish, just worrying about yourself as opposed to worrying about how other people perceive you?
There's a lot of things like certain things, but to be honest, the main thing is watching my old self. Like I literally watched my old self, how I handled myself, how I was doing everything, how I was fighting and stuff like that. So I knew, like, I couldn't lie to myself. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of fighters would be lying to themselves. Like, you'd be like, you didn't give it your best. You didn't give it your best on that fight. And you act like, oh, just because you looked good, you gave it your best. That's not your best. You know what I mean? It's like, so I kind of really just went back for months, watched all my fights, watched my videos, interviews, and stuff like that, and how I was handling myself. I was trying to be like, oh, I'm trying to be professional. I can't say this. I can't say that. Like I was hiding my personality for who I am and worrying about what everybody else thinks about me. Like, oh, you're fighting for your country. Oh, you're doing this. Oh, you're doing that. So I was kind of like living in that hole where everybody wants to live in. You know what I mean? I was like, in the end of the day, I'm doing this for me. That's what's most important. I want to change my life and my family's life. So I have to do this for me first.
So you had 5 wins outside of the UFC, one kickboxing, one boxing. How did those come about?
Oh, that's crazy. So on I think I fought the two fights. They got me the two fights. I won those. And then the third, we were looking for a third fight. Nobody wanted to fight. Nobody wanted to fight. And nobody wanted to pay as well. So I was like, I called my manager. I was like, I don't care. I will do this for 1,000. Just give me a fight. I just want to fight and get my talent going. And the Sparta was in Colorado. And they were like, hey, we have this tournament. We have best 8 guys. We're gonna do boxing, 3 3-minute rounds, and then kickboxing, 3 3-minute rounds, and then the finale is MMA. And the scary part is if you lost the boxing, you make $0.
Oh
And then
man.
if you won, yeah, if you won the boxing, you only make I think it was like $400. And then if you won the kickboxing, which is the second round, you only get away with like 1,300. And then with the MMA, obviously you win the 10 grand. That was the 10 grand. So I was like, all this added pressure of I could not lose. I was like, there's nowhere in hell I'm gonna lose this. And then they had the bracket, the old school. It was like number one versus number eight, and then they kind of like
Oh
played it
yeah.
that way. So they had me number one,
Oh wow.
and then number eight was a boxer that's never done kickboxing or MMA. So I was even freaking out even more. They were like, yeah, he's an amateur Golden Glove champ. He trains at a straight boxing gym. I was like, what? I get that guy first, and everybody else got kickboxers and MMA fighters. I was like, come on, man, are you serious? And then yeah, that's when I went in and I did boxing on that one, and I actually outschooled him, so that was awesome. And then kickboxing and then MMA
That's crazy. All in the same night. That's
all in one
unbelievable.
night. So the crazy part is, I was the first fight of the night because it was boxing, and then we had 4 fights later. Then I fought kickboxing, and then it was like 15 fights later. Then it was me.
Oh God.
Yeah. So I like your adrenaline dump. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was insane.
So how were you feeling going into the last fight with that big gap?
Oh, I was kind of like chill a little bit, and then we kind of knew we were against. We were fighting a kickboxer, and he was like 70 kickboxing fights or something like that. So we were just chilling a little bit, and then when it comes to time, like because my coach went through it before with Dustin Jacoby.
Hmm.
He fought that and then went to the contenders and then went to the UFC. So we kind of like had a feeling about it, and then the whole coaching staff got me like really ready for all 3 fights. So we were like kind of like he told me like I was hyped. I was you just won 2 in a row, so you were like all excited and want to say hi to your family and stuff like that. He's like, no, just relax, sit down. He got me down and we kind of calm. It was kind of just kept as a team, like really just talking and stuff like that, and kept it going.
When did you start to feel like, okay, things are going well for me. I'm making noise outside the UFC. My time is coming. When did you start to feel like that confidence was fully back?
My first fight outside the UFC.
Just the first one.
Yeah. It was to see mentally where I was at on like really being in the moment of the cage and not really worrying about everything. Like I feel like all my fight weeks I had such bad news every week. There's something happened. Like literally, I get into so much stress on fight week, but like now, like you learn how to be like, okay, like I'm expecting it, I know what to expect, but like I have to be professional. This is my job. This is what I love to do. This is what I want to go have fun with. But the first fight, yeah, because it took me a long time. I think it was like a few months before I even got back to the MMA. So yeah, it was definitely the first fight just to get that clarity in my head. And I think that's the biggest thing that really happened to me is the clarity in my head and like all these thoughts that go in my head and stuff like that.
Okay, so the return has been spectacular. 3 fights, 3 finishes, 3 submissions, first round or second round, nothing past that. Against solid competition. Jack Shore, no slouch. Billy Q, no slouch. And that fight, you take that fight from the Ultimate Fighter, and then you just jump in. Early on, I feel like now you're just flowing, but early on, were you putting pressure on yourself? Like this is a rare second chance. Don't f this up. This is your last chance to really secure your spot. What are you telling yourself as you embark on this latest chapter?
Oh, 100%. Like you said, you get the second chance of your life. And a lot of people don't get this. You know what I mean? I feel like there's not that many people in this world that gets this. And we see a lot of stories. Like the biggest two stories the coach always keep bringing up to me was Brandon Moreno and Max Holloway. When Max Holloway was on I think it was like 3 losing streak or 4 losing streak. And then he went on like a 10 streak to the title. You know what I mean? So that was kind of like the stories that we see. I'm like, okay, it's definitely possible. There's a lot of people that have done it. Why cannot be you? You know what I mean? And also seeing my teammates changing their lives. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like that energy is infectious. You know, you're like you want to just get it. You know, like when it's my turn, I want it to be my turn, and that's kind of like the whole thing about it. And like you said, you put it in words like you don't get that many second chances in this life, and you mess it up one time, cool. Second time, you better get your act together and really get it going. So I'm very blessed about that and super grateful for that.
Can you even put this into words? Like 8 months later, you're now 3-0, 3 subs, incredible fights, incredible performances, like highlight reel stuff. Can you make sense of all of this?
No, I mean I know I was gonna do what I was gonna do. I didn't know it was gonna be this way, but I knew I was gonna do what I'm gonna do. I am a finisher, and I do believe that. I feel like I bring a lot of well-round game instead of just one thing. And the only reason why I took this last fight, it's because I was supposed to be in Morocco to go see my mom. I haven't seen her in 2 years, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go on 2 wins. I'm very happy, blah blah. But I was like, nah, man, let's keep this momentum going and really jump in on the opportunity. And as soon as I heard Jack Shore, I was like, come on, man, that's a great name to go really go finish and stuff like that. And especially in the grappling aspect of it. So that was the biggest thing for me. And I told my coaches all week, I wanted to finish him on the ground because all his interviews were saying, I'm a better grappler than Youssef. I can put my grappling against anybody and stuff like that. So that was like my motivator. And now these days for me, I don't know what it is. I look for certain things like what people tell about me and say about me, and I can't wait to tell them in their
Huh.
face as well.
Well, you're going out and seeking the interviews and seeing what they say about you to shove it back
Yeah,
in their
so
face.
hey, this is the funny part. You know Cody Brundage?
Yes.
He cornered me for the first time. And I was sit there and we didn't have no interviews at all. I had nothing, no media on fight week at all. So all I had was literally check in and then I sat down with UFC.com. That's it. It was like 3 minutes and that's it. That's my whole week. I was done. And then I went in and I was talking to him. She was like, yeah, he was saying it's gonna be Jack Show was saying it's gonna be like a chess match. I'm very excited about this, and I want to go back to my old days of grappling. So I was like, okay. So I went back to the hotel room and I watched the whole thing. It was like a 3 minute interview. And he's like, yeah, I want to grapple like grappling. I put my grappling against anybody and this and that. And I was like, okay, cool. And that was kind of like my okay, I got it. Okay, no problem. And then Billy Q was the best one. I had David Unama with me, which he fights next week in Madison Square Garden, I watched the whole 8 minutes of Billy Q media scrum in the Apex of saying I didn't fight nobody, nobody had a winning record. He apparently said I beat Ilia. I never said I beat Ilia and all this stuff. So I was looking at all these things, and then I was like, okay, no problem. And then the coaches was like, why are you watching this? Like, turn it off. I was like, nah, I want to watch everything this guy says about me, every single thing.
Incredible. I like that. You're trying to you're using that as motivation, but you know there's a little pettiness involved in that, right? I mean, you
No, I'm so petty. It's
okay.
so bad. I am so petty. I think you're petty too, though.
I'm petty. I'm petty too.
Yeah,
Yes. 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 I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I understand it.
It's something about being petty that gives you that dopamine that's really good. I'm like,
I get it.
so you keep that same energy, huh? Okay, no problem. No problem. I'm gonna show you how good I am. Don't worry.
I love it. I love it. By the way, you mentioned moving from Morocco to the United States. How old were you when you moved?
13. I moved in 2009. I came into Colorado 2009.
And your mom still lives there?
Yeah, so she lives in Morocco. So when I moved to the US, I haven't seen my mom for so I came to the US super young. I did school and everything, and my we came visiting my dad and my oldest brother. And it was me, my brother that passed away, and my sister and my mom that came visited them. And my mom said, "Hey, I think you guys are gonna have a better future here. You should stay here." And
Wow.
we're like, "Okay." It was just me and my brother. So she went back with my sister, and we're like, "Okay, cool." Like I was a kid, I didn't know what's going on. And 10 years later, didn't see my mom. And
Wow.
10 years later, yeah, then flew back, seen my mom for the first time in 10 years, and now it's been stuck so much just about fighting that I haven't seen my mom in 2 years because I was trying to get my back to the UFC and really get everything going. So that was the whole goal. So the sacrifice is definitely there. So I gotta make it worth it for my mom and really have a good time with my mom.
I'm sorry to hear about your brother. I didn't know that. What happened to him? Do you mind if I ask?
No, of course. So a short story is he hang out with bad friends and was drinking, and obviously he was a little hard head. He was like, "No, I'm driving," and he they let him drive, and so we used to live in my dad's house. It was like right this, and you have to make a U-turn to get to my dad's house. And he just didn't make the U-turn all hard and flipped the car, and he had no seatbelt and just out of the windshield and hit his head and passed away.
Fuck. I'm sorry. How old was he?
20, when was it? 2016. It was 2016. So he was, I think, 23, 24.
And you were 20?
Yeah, I was young. Yeah, yeah.
And how did you get past that? How did you process it?
Uh, a lot of things, man. I was trying to commit suicide. I was super young kid. We were just literally we graduated high school. We had no papers. So we literally just down in the basement of my dad's house, and we go work under the table job, just make some money and then come back. And that was our life, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like not a whole lot of potential, to be honest. So I've been blessed enough that my brothers wanted a better life for me than anything. They always was like, hey, go train, go do this, go do that. Like they always wanted all for to do things for me. And every other night they'll go to bars or something like that and hang out, do their thing, and then that was that. And I got woken up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. because I left the door open. He called me and said, leave the door open. And then I left the door open, and his friend came downstairs running, waking me up out of my bed and said, Yusuf, Yusuf, up, up, up. Your brother, your brother. And I thought like there was a fight or something. So I went upstairs, and he was laying in the street like 50 yards away from the house.
Oh man.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I was the first one to hold him in my hand.
you threw out there right before like I was trying to commit suicide. This is before his passing?
No, it was after his
Af-
passing.
And
Same day.
same day you tried to?
Yeah, same day.
What did you do?
I just had a bunch of pills. I grabbed a bunch of pills. I was gonna chug them, and then I had 'em in my hand. But I had a bunch of friends come downstairs, my brother's friends and everything, and then they like literally just took the things out of my hand and just kind of like kept me in a good direction. And my team, my old team, I used to train an American Top Team. They really kind of support me a lot and as well in that part.
Did you ever go down that path again, or was it just that one time?
No, man, that's like I realized there's so many things. This is why I try to bring joy to people, man, and like really some happiness and stuff like that. It's like there's so many people that love you in this world. You'll be amazed how many people love you in this world and how much they appreciate you and how much like you mean to them. You know what I mean? So that was kind of like my thing, and I was like, I'm not. When it's time for me to go, it's time for me to go. But it's not my time to go, and that's kind of like my whole motto after that. I was like, really do everything with purpose, and that's why I felt like really I went really hard on myself, especially on that first UFC run. I feel like I let my brother down and I let everybody down because I didn't take it as serious as I should have.
When you say you didn't take it as serious as I should have, on the one hand, I thought maybe, you were putting too much pressure on yourself. You're caring about what people think. When you say that, I think you're not training enough. Like, were you believing your hype? Were you thinking that you're the man? You don't have to train. What do you mean when you say I wasn't taking it as serious as I should have?
Believe in the hype. I was
Mm.
always training. I'm always a guy that's always trained no matter what. I always train nonstop. When I have a fight, don't have a fight, does not matter. Nothing changes with me between a fight and not a fight. It really doesn't change for me. But the thing is, it's like just believe in the hype and really not like purposely do everything that you're supposed to do for that. That's like mentally, not even physically. I feel like MMA is so easy to teach somebody physically things, especially if you're talented. You know what I mean? It's not that hard to really get you in shape, to get you a game plan, to get you all this stuff. But the hardest part for me was like just mentally, I was not there. I was just like, I'm just going through it. I'm just doing this, just doing that. Oh, they talking about me. Oh, this, and that. Like there was really not a purpose in life in that part of it. You know what I mean? So and it showed, and it really did show. And I let some fights slide by, like some of the fights I should not let slide by. Like with the Ilia Topuria, I should have picked it up in the second round, and because the third round I won, I should have picked it up in the second round. Sean Woodchin, I should have picked it up, even though they said you won that fight. I should have picked it up. The last fight, the draw, I was like, I should have picked it up in the second round as well. So there's a lot of things that I know I did and I came to reality with it, and I've been a man enough to really speak it to myself and really be honest with myself because I don't need to, I don't want nobody to be like, oh yeah, you did this, you did that. I'm like, no, I know what I did, and I will fix what I did.
You fought Ilya back in October of 2020. Could you have ever imagined that he would have turned out to be this good, this accomplished? Did you think that after fighting him 4 years ago?
To be honest, no, I 100% didn't. But after I knew he was very talented. I knew he was very, very talented. And I know he had power in his hands because I got hit one time and I was like, okay, like he definitely got some power in his hand. And that's why I turned it into grappling matchup, to be honest. So, and that was kind of like the whole thing. But obviously, the now that like I feel like my IQ, I use a lot more now than I ever did. But to see what he's doing, I'd never expected that. But after seeing a few fights right after me, I was like, yeah, he I think he's gonna be a champ.
And so when you see him now, how far away do you think you are from him?
I don't know. All I know, I have to step my game up. That's all I know because what he's doing is amazing and incredible, and it's inspiring. You know what I mean? I give her credit due. You know what I mean? I'm not here to be good. I'm here to I want to be the best and elite. So for me, I got to be honest with myself, and I got to do a lot of things. I got to step my game up a lot. Like there's a lot of things I got to do to even reach that level. And all I know, what I learned from my past, is my patience. My time will come. That's all I know. My time will come, and especially in this MMA, and you know this about MMA, it's all about opportunities. It's all about the right opportunity and the right time. They can call you at any time. You find the number five or number six and stuff like that. I jumped in for Mozov. I put myself in there taking the hardest fight in that division for the Utah card. And then they said, oh, no, no, we're just going to move it. I jumped in. I was the guys that jumped in to say yes. I was like, I called my manager right away. I said, I'll take it.
You're talking about the Aljo Evloev fight.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
want
yeah. I
wow.
literally called my manager, jumped in, no training, out of the couch, ready to take it. I was like, let's do it. I want to take that fight because I know how this sport is. You go shine an opportunity like that, you will change your life.
Amen. 100%. So if it is just a situation where, all right, you get a call and a normal training camp, I know you've talked about the names like Edson Barbosa and Dan Ige. Who do you think makes sense for you next?
To be honest, I've been calling Barbosa. I know Barbosa was looking for an opponent the whole time, and I feel like Barbosa is. I think he's number 15 still, or something like that. I was like, that would be amazing. But again, at the end of the day, it's like I don't care whoever they give me. I know Josh Emmett's been off for a minute, and like I'd be ready to welcome him because I know he fought Ilia. So I go out there and finish Josh Emmett. That just brings my name way up more because he'd be like, oh, the champ couldn't finish him, and I just finished him. You know what I mean? So that just like writes the story itself. So, but I'm ready for whoever they give me, man. I said this before. I was like, if they give me somebody not ranked and they want me to keep showing, I will keep doing what I got to do because my time will come.
Is the goal to bring your mom over to the United States now, or is she staying in Morocco?
So her goal is to come to United States just to see her son's graveyard.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, she hasn't seen it for 15, 14 years right now.
Can you make that happen? Are you trying to make that happen?
So we're making that we're trying to make it happen right now. It's all through the immigration right now. We've just been waiting for. I think she got approved for something, so we're just waiting for the whole legal part of it. So we're just waiting on that part.
I liked in the post fight interview, and I hope that happens for you and for her and for your whole family. I like how you said shout out to the King of Morocco. I was like, wow, are you guys boys? Are you boys of the King of Morocco? Like it was just like one of your homies.
No, no, no. I'm not. I mean, I'm not. I never met the king. I never seen the king. Obviously, like I grew up my life half in Morocco and half here. So it's kind of like I was kind of like watching videos and saying like, oh, he had some health problems and stuff like that. And I was like, I wanted to support because man, I really I want to represent Morocco to the top. And I feel like Moroccan MMA is not really getting talked about at all. You know what I mean? You know, kickboxers, you know, runners, you know, all this stuff, but you don't hear about MMA at all. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I wanna be the guy that brings the MMA to a different level when it comes to Morocco. Like, hey, the confidence of kids training and coming up, like you really can change your life to fight, not just UFC and MMA in general, but especially at a UFC level. Like, come on, man, like that's like oh, that's inspiring to me. Like that gives me chills right now just thinking about it to be the guy that go and do it and like a really high IQ. And especially when it comes to jiu-jitsu. That's like my biggest thing as well.
I loved it. Was like shout out to the King of Morocco, shout out to my barber, shout out to my family. It was a whole mix of people. It was great. Keeping me looking good, my barber, shout out to it was like, yes, all right. I like this guy. I like your energy.
I know they were saying they're like saying I'm the first guy to ever give a shout out to his barber
It was great. It was
on an interview.
And
So I
then
was
you're
like,
in, and then
yeah,
and
man, I
then
got you,
you're
I got you.
you're in Edmonton. You're like, I didn't know hockey was so big. You guys love hockey. I'm gonna buy a Connor McDavid jersey. How did you know hockey was so big in Canada? You aren't you in Colorado right now? It's pretty big there
Yeah, I'm in
too.
Colorado, so apparently hockey's big here too. But I was
You
like, I,
what?
that's what I said. I was like, I went in. I was like, so Cody knows a lot about sports. So Cody Bunges knows a lot about sport. Actually, I even watched my first time ever watching the 2004 Boston Red
Oh
Sox.
yeah, yeah, on Netflix.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
watched it on Netflix. So like literally, we're all we're doing is just chilling and just watching. I watched the Yankees versus the Dodgers for the first time in my life. Watching baseball on TV. That was my first time ever, and I was like. So I kind of got more into the sports, and I love watching like stuff like that. Like my favorite thing is Last Dance.
Yeah.
Like I really love Last Dance. Like just mentally, like you know what I mean. Like winners, like we're male dominant, like testosterone. Like we just want to win. You know what I mean. So they kind of like see how things like just go and like really act up. And I was like, man, that was awesome. And I'm kind of like talking. He's like, it's like yeah, bro, they like love hockey in Canada. And then I did an interview and they were like, "Yeah, bro, hockey. Like we put our kids through hockey and everything." And I'll say, "For real?" And then I was like, "Okay, like where are we fighting at?" And he's like, "Oh, that's the Oilers. Like that's the famous stadium." And I was like, "Okay, cool, cool, cool." I was like, "Who's a famous player?" They're like, "Bro, they have the best player in the NHL,
NHL.
NHL."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Who is it?" He was like, "Mick Davis." Apparently, they call him Mick Jesus or something. I don't know what they call him. But I was like, "What?" I was like, "All right." So I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna do an idea. But I was gonna get I was gonna do it the weigh-ins, but I was like, they're like, hey, you do it, you're gonna get fined. And I was like, I was gonna slide the jerseys that I bought from because the UFC didn't give me no jersey. I'm not a main event or anything, but
Your
that's
time will
we'll get
come.
there. We'll get there. Time will come. But I was like, oh, it's a $300 jersey. I was like, I don't buy no jerseys, man. I was like, what? So I was like, I grabbed the jersey and I was gonna give it to my coach Cody. And I was like, okay, when we go in, they called my name, Scale, and I was gonna grab it and then show it out. But I was like, they said you're gonna get fined, like percentage. And I was like, I'm not gonna risk that. And then I was like, all right, cool, cool, cool. But as soon as I knew the arena, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it, man. I'm gonna do it. And I was like, I don't even know nothing about hockey. I was like, let's go Oilers, and they lost it. They lost
Well
it.
done. I love that. They call you the Moroccan Devil. I'll call you the Moroccan Delight. You are a delight, my friend. Your personality is great. Your energy is infectious, and very happy for your success. So congratulations on the 3 wins this year, and looking forward to a big year for you in 2025.
Thank you so much, my man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. It means a lot.
We'll talk to you soon. There he is, Youssef Zalal,
Thank
the
you.
Moroccan Devil. What a run for him since March, since returning to the UFC. Thanks for watching this video. Hey, before you go, do me a favor, hit that sub button, give us a thumbs up, hit the little bell thingy as well. Leave us a nice comment or two. We appreciate you all very much.